I didn't understand what the envelope meant until much later. My boss handed it to me near the end of the day. No meeting, no explanation. Just an envelope slid across my desk. "Don't open this here," he said quietly. "Go home, pack a bag." I stared at him. For what? He glanced toward the glass conference room where several executives were gathered. Then he leaned closer. "You have 24 hours, that was all." By the time I reached home, I had convinced myself it was bad news, a termination package, a legal issue. Some mistake I was about to be blamed for. The envelope sat unopened on my kitchen table for almost an hour. When I finally broke the seal, a single letter fell out. It wasn't a warning, it was an offer. The company was preparing to launch a major restructuring after months of confidential negotiations. A regional division had collapsed financially. Leadership intended to replace nearly the entire management team. At the bottom of the letter was my name. I had been selected to lead the transition project, temporary assignment, immediate travel required, confidential until official announcement. I read the page 3 times, then a fourth. There had to be a mistake. I wasn't a manager. I wasn't even one of the people who usually spoke during meetings. I was the employee people forgot to include in group photos, reliable, competent, invisible. The next morning I packed anyway, not because I believed I deserved the opportunity, because I couldn't stop wondering what would happen if I said no. The following weeks felt unreal. Every day brought new problems, new decisions, new expectations. The work wasn't glamorous. Mostly it involved listening, understanding why departments were failing, identifying what people were afraid to say publicly. For the first time in my career, my opinion carried weight. That should have felt satisfying. Instead, it felt uncomfortable. I kept waiting for someone to realize I wasn't supposed to be there. Back at headquarters, rumors spread. Some coworkers assumed I had connections. Others assumed I was being set up to fail. A few treated my temporary assignment as a lucky accident. Part of me agreed with them. Then came the meeting, the one that changed everything. Senior leadership gathered employees from multiple offices through a company-wide broadcast. Most people expected an update about restructuring. I watched from the back of a conference room hundreds of miles away. The CEO appeared on screen. After outlining the company's recovery plan, she paused. Then she announced the leadership team responsible for implementing it. My name was listed among them, not as a temporary assistant, not as administrative support, as project director. The room became completely silent. Several people turned toward me. I remember that more clearly than anything she actually said. Not the promotion, not the applause that followed. The silence, the sudden realization spreading across faces that had spent years looking past me. No dramatic confrontation followed. Nobody apologized. Nobody admitted they had underestimated me. Real life rarely works that way. What changed was simpler. People listened when I spoke. Ma'ams received replies. Meetings included invitations instead of assumptions. Respect arrived quietly. Months later, my boss and I shared coffee after a review meeting. I finally asked the question that had bothered me since the envelope. "Why me?" He smiled slightly. "You were one of the few people who solved problems without needing credit." I wasn't sure how to respond. For years, I had viewed being overlooked as proof that I wasn't progressing. Maybe sometimes it was, but sometimes visibility arrives later than effort. The promotion became permanent. The travel eventually stopped. Life settled into something surprisingly ordinary. Yet I still keep that letter in a drawer at home, not because it reminds me of success, because it reminds me of uncertainty. The most important change didn't happen when leadership announced my name. It happened the night before, sitting alone at my kitchen table. That was the moment I chose to step towards something I didn't fully understand. The envelope gave me 24 hours. The decision inside it changed far more than my job. It changed the story I had been telling myself about who I was allowed to become.